From artisan entertainment, it began as a mystery. It became a phenomenon. And now it's as close as your remote control. For the first time on television, the Blair Witch Project comes to pay-per-view. Experience the movie critics call a groundbreaker in fright.
I'm so scared.
An instant classic.
I hear him downstairs!
The Blair Witch Project, now on pay-per-view. Lights on, lights off. You decide how to watch it.
Hey there, welcome back to another video. This time around, it is my review of the 1999 horror film, The Blair Witch Project. Now, before I get around to sharing more of my thoughts on this film, I want to give a special shout out to David for requesting this review. And if there is another film, TV show, or topic that you would like to see me discuss in the future, feel free to donate to my PayPal. The link will be in the video description down below. Now, The Blair Witch Project is one of those films that over the years has started to have a lot of people turn on it. And what's interesting is that when I first saw this film years ago, I thought it wasn't worth the hype. I didn't get it. I thought it was boring. I didn't care for it. And it's only with the most recent viewing when my opinion on this film changed. I have taken a complete 180 when it comes to this movie. I actually really like this film now. I think it's easily one of the most authentic and one of the best found footage films that I've seen. And I don't understand the hate that it's getting now. I don't think it's a bad film. I don't think it's a bad horror movie. I don't think it's that overrated, especially when it comes to this genre of found footage. This is hands down one of the best films that I've seen in this genre. And if anything, it might honestly at this point be a little bit of an underrated horror film, because it's become such a popular thing to take pot shots at it and to drag it down that it's a little underrated because of the fact that it's not as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. I think it's quite chilling. I think it's a film that definitely stays with you because of the way that things are structured when it comes to its narrative and how things play out. And like I said earlier, it's easily one of the most authentic found footage films as well. So the movie is directed by Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sánchez. And I'm not going to sit here and say the direction is some of the best that I've ever seen, but when it comes to the kind of film that they're trying to do, I think they did a really good job. This is a film that is intended to be a found footage movie. It's intended to be a bunch of random footage shot on a camcorder with a bunch of different characters or people that was found in the woods somewhere. It's not intended to be a polished project. And I feel the direction for the most part really does nail that feeling and that vibe, because other than a few instances where the directing is a little bit too ambitious, where you can be like, wait a minute, there's no way that you got that shot with the limitations that these characters had while they were in the woods. You had to have a full-on camera crew, and there's no way you could have gotten that perspective the way that you did. You know, other than those moments, for the most part, the direction really does feel authentic. With the way that the camera is set up, with the angles, with the shaky cam aspect of it. This is an instance where the shaky cam makes sense for the overall vibe of the film and from a directing standpoint, because it makes things feel more real. In this kind of instance, if you're just lugging around this heavy camera in the woods, you're not always going to have the really nice looking shot. And especially when you're terrified and you're running for your life, you're not going to be doing that with a gimbal or a fucking tripod or one of those mounts that enables you to move the camera smoothly. That's not going to happen. So the shaky cam here actually is a positive. It makes the film feel more authentic in terms of its directing, as does a lot of the angles that it decides to use, where people are talking, or even in the documentary footage, the bits of the documentary that you do see, even that is set up in a way that's very amateur. But that's the whole point. It's supposed to be this amateurish uh, project that a bunch of people just decided to do, and the film really does, at the end of the day, for the most part, feel every bit like that. And also just like a bunch of random footage that's spliced together. And the script by Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sánchez, I don't think it gets enough credit for how well it weaves a narrative and a story with not a lot of detail. So it's one of those screenplays that relies a lot upon its characters and a lot upon the situation and the setting. And that's why I feel the script is really solid and honestly a great script when it comes to a found footage film, because of how it manages to tell the story without filling in all of the blanks. That's one of the things I love about this movie, is that it doesn't really explain everything. It doesn't provide a speak and spell for the narrative or hooked on phonics. It's not holding your hand. It's not doing that. It enables you to think for yourself, and it in turn is a much scarier experience because of the idea that you don't know what it is. You don't know what's going on. And it makes you have to figure out in your head what's making things go bump in the night. What's making those crackling noises in the woods? Uh, is it the Blair Witch? Is it something else? I love the idea of using your imagination to scare you, because that is some of the most effective horror that I've seen, is a kind of horror that makes you the person that creates what scares you. And I don't see as much of that nowadays. They throw all the gore, they throw everything at you, they hold your hand, they give you every bit of information, they fill in every blank, and it's really nice to see something like the Blair Witch Project that doesn't do that. It doesn't go that route. And it also makes it even more authentic at the end of the day, because that's what the unknown is. I love mysteries. I love the unknown. I grew up watching Unsolved Mysteries and Sightings and reading all kinds of books about the mysteries of the unexplained. So, one of the common narratives that I would run into when it comes to seeing a segment on Unsolved Mysteries or Sightings, or reading a portion in an unexplained book that dealt with ghosts, UFOs, or any other realm of the unknown, is that there wasn't always an explanation. There wasn't always a rational explanation for things. And that's what I feel this script does so well, is it doesn't rationalize things. It provides you with just enough to keep you interested and to keep you captivated, but at the same time it doesn't rationalize everything, which is makes it more realistic. If something like this did happen, there wouldn't be rationalizations for all of the events that occur. And another thing that I really like about the script is how real these characters come across, how they feel like real people, because of the fact that they are very flawed, they are very impulsive, they react in ways that a lot of people would in a stressful situation. If you're stuck in the woods for days and you're hungry and you're tired, you might have a moment where you blow up and you're like, fuck this map. I don't need this map. It's useless anyway. Fuck it. It's an asshole move. It's very selfish, but it's a very realistic move. A lot of people could easily wind up doing that kind of thing if they are put into this kind of situation. Another thing I really like about the script is that it relies less upon the fantastic, the typical trappings of the horror genre when it comes to a supernatural entity, and instead it only gives you little bits. It gives you little crumbs to chew on when it comes to the Blair Witch, the rocks, the various different markings, and like the totems that are made out of tree branches. Um, the fact that one of the characters, it seems like a body part is in a bag that's covered in branches. Um, you have these mysterious noises at night. Uh, the characters are going around in circles, and they are starting to lose track of where they are. They think that they're following their compass, and it tells them to go this way, and they go that way, and then they just wind up back where they started from. And then even the ending, which you just see all these weird patterns on the wall in the abandoned house, and what looks like symbols, all this other stuff, and it just gets your mind racing. It just gets you thinking about what is all of this. And it ends in a way that, yeah, it just makes you even more interested in this lore, in what's going on, and makes you want to solve this mystery because of the fact that everything is so mysterious, everything is so left up in the air. And I think the screenwriters deserve so much credit for nailing that aspect of the story. And going back to the characters, despite the fact that these are very flawed characters, I actually feel they have some nice moments, a banter with one another that's honestly pretty funny and endearing in a lot of ways. And I really felt that the screenplay gave them a lot to work with in terms of these characters so that they could feel like they had a genuine place in this narrative and in this story. They weren't just cannon fodder. They weren't just victims. They were more than that because of the fact that there was a little bit more going on with their different personalities or their backstories. Like there was enough there for you to get an idea of who these people are and what they stand for, and I think that was more than enough. I didn't feel there was a serious lack of character development. There was enough there to make you care about these characters and their fate. And then you had all the mystery going on and the unexplained, and that just made everything all the more compelling. And I also felt for the most part the acting was pretty good. I thought the actors, they did a nice job. You have Heather Donahue who plays Heather. You've got Michael C. Williams who plays Mike. You've got Josh Leonard as Joshua Leonard. You've got Patricia DeCoo as Mary Brown, this woman who supposedly saw the Blair Witch. Um, and really, it's the main three. It's Heather Donahue, Michael C. Williams, Joshua Leonard. That's the main cast here. And I felt that all three of those actors, they did a nice job making these characters feel authentic, feel real. Heather in particular, I really thought her performance was great. The character got on my nerves at a certain point, but that's just more proof that she did a really damn good job with that character. That was the point. You were supposed to be annoyed with her and with her selfishness and her arrogance and all of that. That's what makes that scene where she's standing there in the woods alone and terrified all the more captivating because of the fact that that's her moment of realization. That's her moment where she's like, I fucked up. And this was, in some ways, her attempt to atone for her sins. And the emotion that she was displaying of grief and angst and anguish was very, very genuine to me. And the other actors, they did a nice job too. I mean, everyone involved in the cast who shows up on the screen, they also provided a lot of authenticity. And I keep saying that word because it's such a great word to use for this film because it is an authentic found footage film to a T. And for the most part, the pacing is pretty good. I don't think it's that poor. There are some moments where it's kind of a little slow, especially in the middle, but there's still enough going on. There's still enough moments of intrigue to keep you invested. And it's not that long of a film. It's only like an hour and 20 something minutes. So it's not like it really overstays its welcome. And from a technical standpoint, I also want to mention the cinematography by Neil Fredericks. It's very gritty, it's very grainy, but it fits the film very well. I like the mix of black and white and color. I think it creates some nice mood and atmosphere. And I felt for the most part it was well edited by Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sánchez. There really were not any moments editing wise where I'm like, that's a little choppy. It was every bit as solid as their other work on the film. And the music by Antonio Cara, I'm not going to say the music, it's Cora, by the way, Antonio Cora. I'm not going to say the score is anything that memorable, but it did provide a little bit of extra creep factor at times. It did make things a little bit more eerie. And I was just really ultimately surprised by how much I really liked the film, considering the last time around I saw the movie, I wasn't really a fan of it. So I was just shocked by how much I enjoyed it and how much I was still thinking about it after it was over, in terms of the mystery, in terms of what happened to these three people, what happened to them. Uh, um, and it was just one of those things that really did tap into that love of the unknown and that love of mystery that I've had ever since I was a kid. I mean, I was reading adult level books when I was, I think it was like 5, 6, 7 or 8 years old. Like I was really, really young, and I'm reading like Time Life books on the unexplained. So it's one of those things that definitely is uh, a part of me that I wax nostalgic about. You know, and I still love the unknown. I still love the unexplained. I find it very fascinating. I find it very interesting. And the Blair Witch Project is one of those films that, for the most part, is the closest that I've seen when it comes to a found footage film, or really any film when it comes to really providing that same feel and that same vibe that I had watching Unsolved Mysteries or watching Sightings or reading a book on the unexplained. Uh, the fact that it leaves me with a lot of questions in this instance is a good thing. It's a really big positive, and I honestly would recommend this film. Even if you were on the fence about it, I was too. I would recommend checking it out. I don't think you really need to get the Blu-ray because this is a very lo-fi kind of movie. In terms of the picture quality, I don't think the Blu-ray actually helps. In this instance, I actually think it's probably gonna be a better experience if you watch it on DVD or even VHS, because of the fact that it's that kind of movie. It's not really a film that really plays well in high definition. That being said, this still needs a new Blu-ray or a new edition. It does have a cult following still to this day. And the DVD is fine for the time, but this is a film that supposedly started a phenomenon. It kickstarted the found footage genre, and it's got a DVD and a Blu-ray that doesn't really have any new interviews with anybody, no documentary. Like, this is a film that I would honestly think would be 100% game, or a film that definitely does deserve a feature-length documentary talking about the making of the movie and the phenomenon of the Blair Witch Project. But for some reason, it's just non-existent. And its anniversary is already passed, and there's been nothing. So, I don't know what's going on. Maybe if Shout Factory or Scream Factory gets the rights, they would finally do some big release. But until some boutique label like that decides to release the film, it's probably just going to remain bare bones or remain having the same features that it did when it came out on DVD. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the Blair Witch Project. I hope you enjoyed my review, and as always, I'll see you later. See ya.